The USS Voyager is a Tier 8 premium American heavy cruiser and a collaboration Star Trek ship. You can buy it in the store right now if you'd like for 25,000 doubloons. I don't know that I would really recommend it. It's not a bad ship by any stretch of the imagination, but I've seen people basically calling it a copy-paste Salem that only shoots AP. And that comparison is not quite right. The Salem has got a lot more utility going for it than the Voyager does. The Voyager has almost no utility to speak of. It seems to be purely an AP damage farming kind of cruiser. Of course, there is a unique commander that you can buy to go along with it. That would be Captain Janeway, who we have at the helm, also available in the Star Trek section for 5,000 doubloons. I don't think she's the best collaboration commander we've ever seen. I'll show you the build real quick. We've got Mikawa and Scott as inspirations, and then you can see her skill tree is kind of a combination of the skills you'd find on Norm Scott and Thomas Kincaid. We've got Ingenious in the first row, mostly for the turret traverse buff, because American cruiser turret traverse is quite slow. It's nice to improve it a little bit with that skill, plus then you get to see how many people are aiming at you, which is also helpful. Then we've got Full Speed Ahead in her second row of skills, Beyond Range in the third row. Typically, you don't see cruiser commanders with both Beyond Range and Ingenious, but you can get both with Janeway, which is kind of nice. And then her unique skill in the fourth row is called Precision Strike. It improves cruiser shell grouping against enemies with more than 50% HP, and improves cruiser AP damage against enemies with less than or equal to 50% HP. As for Janeway's base trait, it buffs damage against battleships, buffs damage against cruisers, each by a fairly low percentage, and then buffs accuracy, main battery shell grouping, when shooting at destroyers, which is of course helpful to any cruiser you will play on the American line. So the commander is pretty good, and I think she works well on this ship. As for the stats, we've got 44,700 HP. And it's in the survivability aspects that the big difference, well, one of the big differences between Voyager and Salem comes into pretty clear view. You'll notice we have 3 charges of the repair party, thanks to the fully packed skill in Janeway's skill tree. Base, you come with 2, but these repair parties are just conventional cruiser heals. They are not the super heals like what you'd find on Salem. They only restore 223 HP for a duration of 28 seconds, so there's nothing special about them at all. As for the armor, it's 27 millimeters everywhere except for the Citadel belt, and the Citadel is well exposed above the waterline, very easy to hit. The deck armor, though, is 30 millimeters, which I guess gives you a little bit of tankiness, although there are plenty of guns at Tier 8 and Legendary Tier that can overmatch 30 millimeters. You'll see them all the time. So you don't want to really be getting shot by battleships, unless they have 15-inch guns. You can bounce those off your 27 millimeter bow. And if you do take damage, well, then you can repair it, but not as much as the Salem. You've also got the smoke screen. You can change out the smoke screen for sonar. You can change out the heal for an engine boost. I don't know why you'd ever do that, but you can. As for the smoke screen, it's basically like American destroyer smoke. It disperses for 30 seconds, and the duration of the smoke screen is 104 seconds. Takes 156 seconds to reload, and you get 3 of them with fully packed. That's pretty good, I would say, although your detectability while firing inside of smoke is 7.2 kilometers, which is not the best. If you are going to deploy it, as we've already done, you just need to make sure you're far enough away that people aren't going to be spotting you. As for the guns, well, we've got 9 of them, 203 millimeter or 8-inch guns. They only fire AP, and it is the American heavy cruiser AP with excellent pen angles, really good penetration, and the alpha damage is actually 4,500, kind of low. The guns have a range of 16.7 km, they reload in 7.6 seconds, and the turret traverse time with Ingenious is 26.9 seconds. I'm also running the main battery reload mod in the 4th slot, which gets our reload to 7.6, but also makes the turret traverse worse. 26 seconds, though, is manageable. As for the AA, it does have the DFAA consumable, and I have, in fact, shot down planes with it. But who cares about AA, honestly? The maneuverability, we do have the full speed ahead skill, so we got 34.7 knots. Fine for a cruiser, but pretty average speed. 770-meter turning circle, which is pretty good. And then a 7.7 second rudder shift. Our concealment is 10.5 kilometers with Mikawa as an inspiration and with the concealment mod. So this is sort of like Salem with just AP farming capabilities. Basically, you deploy this smoke screen somewhere and you farm stuff with AP. Of course, it's very good against cruisers when they give broadside. They don't even have to be giving too much broadside. You can still get citadels on them like we did the Mogami. But of course, because you don't have sonar, if you take the smoke screen, and you have no radar, there is no utility. And there's no forewarning for torpedoes. You just kind of have to know they're coming. We take one there from the Summers, and you can see how little HP we can restore with our conventional cruiser heal. So this is very much just a damage farming cruiser. I think the most apt comparison, at least the one I was thinking of the whole time I was playing it, was probably the Tier 7 British heavy cruiser Hampshire. Although there's major differences there. The Hampshire has a much better heal, but its AP characteristics are pretty cracked, and these are fairly similar to that. The AP is pretty much always good. With the improved pen angles, you can get damage even against angled ships if you shoot into their superstructure, and the damage is excellent. But of course, the main strength of this ship is dealing with enemy cruisers. When it comes to dealing with destroyers, that would be another downside. Number one, you don't have any radar to spot them. Secondly, if you go with the smokescreen, you have no sonar. And I think you would want to go with the smoke screen because that's sort of the unique gimmick of this ship. But you have no sonar for advanced warning of torpedoes or spotting destroyers. So you sort of have to rely on your destroyer teammates to spot them. Unless you want to push into them yourself, which is maybe not a great idea, unless it's late game and you've got no other choice. But if you do find one and you shoot at it, you can expect to get a lot of over-penetrations on the thing. These are, after all, 8-inch guns. I don't know if they have any kind of improved shortened fuse time, but I don't think so, judging by the number of overpens I've gotten on destroyers. That being said, if the destroyer is slightly angled, well, you do have the improved penetration angles. And I've gotten full pens that way. In that case, the damage is actually very excellent, but against more angled destroyers, or less angled destroyers rather, with all the overpens, maybe not so much. There's also a good chance that the shells might bounce every now and again against some destroyer hull plating, so there is that. It's not the most effective cruiser at dealing with destroyers. It's fine against battleships. It certainly does good damage when they're broadside and into their superstructure. But it really is against enemy cruisers where this thing shines. And so if you're interested in an AP cruiser killer, then this might be the ship for you. Although I think, given that Des Moines and Salem both exist, and they have not only high explosive, but also sonar, radar, and one of them has a much better heal than this, I think either of those are probably better choices than the Voyager. I suppose the main reason you might want to buy this ship is just because it's kind of unique, you know, AP only slinging American cruiser with smoke. And if you're a really big fan of Star Trek, there is that collaboration aspect to it too. So I'm not saying it's a bad ship by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't find it all that inspiring. Here in this sequence, we'll get to see its best strengths. You see the Salem out there, sort of the same hull as us. Of course, we're able to citadel that. We've got the Mogami that we citadeled earlier coming in to try to torpedo this, I think, Kansas that's directly in front of us. And maybe this is a little bit scummy of me, but we're going to use the Kansas as free armor to block the Mogami's torpedoes so we don't actually have to take any. And for some reason, we're not hitting the Mogami's citadel. Maybe I'm just aiming too high. A lot of overpens there, but you know, Mogami turns away. We adjust the aim a little bit. There's 2 citadels. Pretty good damage. He goes down. We've got this Suzuya next to us, who's AFK, has been apparently for the whole game. So this isn't, the best shot ever against a stationary target, but he's slightly angled, so you get to see the improved penetration angles with another 2 citadels there. And as you can tell, this thing is quite capable of putting the beat down on enemy cruisers. All that's left in this battle is the destroyer, which is somewhere near the Alpha Cap. Could have pushed into him, but again, no sonar, no radar. We would have been pushing in blind. Some other cruiser on our team looked like he was going to do that. I think the destroyer has actually torpedoed him. That could have been us. You might think that's a problem if the cruiser that you buy is not all that capable of dealing with destroyers. Again, that would be a good argument to just go with Salem itself or Des Moines. Speaking of Salem, there's a couple citadels into his not flat broadside, just peeking the bow around the island there, and we're using the improved AP pen angles to access the citadel. He, though, is going to make an error. Maybe he realizes that there's just no winning this game for the red team, so instead of reversing behind that island into safety, he is going to push out, and he's going to allow us to demonstrate once again the USS Voyager's excellent penetration angles. There we go. 3 citadels through the slightly angled bow, high caliber metal, 137,000 damage done. Pretty sort of average game, I guess you could say. Most of the time when I've played this ship, I found myself just sitting in the smoke screens, trying to farm things, looking for cruiser broadsides. It's a very straightforward playstyle. I honestly think it's a little bit boring, though. So, I don't know that this is a ship I would really fully recommend. I think it's interesting, certainly interesting to give a American heavy cruiser a smoke screen and AP only, kind of make it like the British cruisers, except without the excellent heals and the utility and the consumables. A pure smoke firing damage farmer with AP. That's what the USS Voyager is, and if that sounds appealing to you, you might enjoy the ship, but I don't think I would actually recommend it. So, hope you enjoyed the video. If so, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.